Bone Esponja.
So confused how you got that out of Bob Esponja.
I don't know. Maybe it was my intrusive thoughts. I just want to bone Esponja so bad, you know what I'm saying? They look rather boneable.
I mean, sometimes I'd be looking at SpongeBob and I'm like,
He's breedable.
He could get it.
SpongeBob is submissive and breedable. I'm choking myself.
He could get it, man. You know?
Bro, he can like just go with his arms and then grow like a new arm. He probably do that with his peen too, bro. Rip it off, throw it at you.
Do you
Another
think
one pops out?
I'm thinking about that scene from the Hash Slinging Slasher episode where he's eating like popcorn buckets full of his arms. Can you do that with
his dick and balls?
Popcorn buckets full of his own dick and balls.
I just want to know why it was crunchy, man. No.
Well, there's bones in it, right?
And your dick?
Oh. No, I thought you meant his arms.
Oh, no. I should have clarified. I know why his arm were crunchy, but I'm saying, like, if he did that take with the fucking dick and balls. It's like eating marbles, you hear him clacking.
He's got bones in there, too.
That's why he's bone Esponja.
I mean, actually, humans are like one of the only mammals that doesn't have a dick bone.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that would suck. Imagine getting kicked in the dick bone.
I broke my dick bone.
Oh.
Fell down and broke my dick bone, man.
Oh, bruh. That's rough. I'm actually really glad. That's like the one thing.
We're like the only mammal that's like blood pressure only.
Cardiovascular health, baby. Let's go.
I know this because my TikTok For You page was like, you want to know about mammal pelvic bones, I think. I was like,
yeah.
All right, sure. And then it was about dick bones. I was like, that's crazy.
That is kind of crazy. I never knew that. That's unfortunate.
I just get kicked right in the dick bone, man.
Dude, like, because it can't be that big of a bone. It's got to be, like, what, pinky thickness? Like, it's really just for structure. It's not
Depends on the animal, right?
Yeah, but even then, like, I feel like it's kind of just still like a support structure just to hold it up, not so much to like fill the volume. So like you get kicked in the dick bone, and it's like a quarter-inch thickness, and just snaps off like a twig.
It's like a fucking chicken leg, dude.
Oh, dude, like the wishbones.
Oh, it's like a wishbone,
dude. That's where the twig and berries thing comes from, bro. That the fucking British say.
Because they're still primitives over there, so they fell and broke their dick bone.
Oh, I mean, twig and berries, just the sound of their dick bone breaking.
Dick bone. Imagine getting like a fracture to your dick bone, but it's one of the ones that like pops out of the skin.
Oh!
My dick bone's poking out, man.
Let me just fucking snap that bitch back.
Go to the hospital, be like, doctor, my dick bone's popping out, man.
Yo, what if that shit was ball and socketed though, like a joint, and you had tendons, you could just fucking swing it around?
That would be awesome.
I would take a dick bone if that was the kind of dick bone it was.
If I had a dick bone like my shoulder, that would be pretty cool.
Dude, that would be sick. You're just sitting there like, boom.
Or if it was like prehensile, like a elephant's trunk. So I could
seek with it.
Yeah, you ever seen an elephant like slap their trunk around on the ground? I would do things like that, or they like grab stuff with it. I'd be doing that all the time. You'd be like, "Hey, bro, pass me the remote," and it would be like.
Dude, what a fucking image, like. Oh man, you could aim it and everything, dude. Like, imagine you don't even have to like. You could be like brushing your teeth, taking a piss in the toilet on the side of you, just so I can
sling it over my shoulder and call it a day. Figure it out.
Oh man, but then you're not as well endowed as you anticipated, but you still have that ability. So it's like an inchworm wriggling. That would suck.
So essentially, this is like the dick guy from The Boys, who's like a side character whose his power is that he's got a dick that he can control the size of, and it grows and it moves like a snake. And you can move it around, and it could be like 25 feet long. That's what I would do. I'd be like, man, I gotta piss, but I don't want to get up, and I would have it go. and slither over.
I wonder how much pressure you would need from your bladder to like push it 25 feet. And then it comes out like a trickle.
And then it comes out, and I can't get it because it's actually turning into a gas because of all the pressure.
You'd have to have it like a roller coaster, so you'd have to have like the steep climb. That way you can push to the crevice or precipice, and then just fucking shoot it down, and then you can just kind of keep this sort of flowing waveform going. That way you kind of maintain velocity, and then it just finally at the end just goes shit out the top, yeah, out the tip, into the toilet.
Hello and welcome.
It's 187.
Hello and welcome to the 187th installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by other host, Jordan.
Man, hi.
Hello.
That's me, man. This is the first like pre-show banter I think is worth keeping in a while.
Fair. Jordan.
Yeah.
Remind the people, man.
So as always, if you like somehow what you may have just heard, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify Podcast, and the RSS Feed, all linked below. YouTube and Spotify have a video platform. And Instagram, TikTok will be over there. There will be a short coming out somewhat soon based on our Halloween video, which at the time of this releasing, I think releases tomorrow, right?
Yes. Halloween's next Thursday.
Watch it. This is out on Wednesday the 30th. The video is out on Thursday the 31st. And happy Halloween, everybody.
Unhappy Halloween.
Dude, it always just has to be different, man.
I'm evil. Rah! I'm on one today.
Apparently. Oh, my God.
I'm on one. I've been in a weird mood lately.
What could that perhaps mean?
I don't know.
Are you menopausing?
Maybe.
That's where all that blood came from. I thought that was just the people you kept in your basement.
Nope.
No.
There was, I don't know. I've just been, so what I've done, which is abnormal behavior for me.
Smiled?
Is I've committed to a game that's been on my backlog forever that I've started a million times and never finished.
Hang on, let me give it a think. Oh my God. I don't know.
Baldur's Gate 3. I've played like the first 6 hours of that game like 4 times.
I feel like a lot of people have done that. My brother's 500 hours and he's never made it past Act 1.
And I am now in the middle of Act 2, like 40 hours into my save.
Damn.
And I'm having a good time with it. It's fun.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Menopause.
I'm having a good time with it. I'm having like what I like is that you can completely arbitrarily change your class whenever you want.
That is cool.
And you can also use it to like respec your characters and whatever. So like essentially I was having trouble with an encounter. So what I did was, because it was an encounter where something happens if you don't act quick enough, essentially. So what I ended up doing was I went back to camp before the encounter. I went back to camp, respec everyone in my party's character to have the feat alert, which puts a +5 to your initiative. So we are now first in initiative, like always. It's a rare where we're not first in initiative. And that's on top of like a bonus that like I think like Karlak has a bonus to her initiative. So already she's always at the top of the order. Yeah. So that, you know, it lets you do things like that. Or like I was a barbarian for like a good portion of the game and I was like, nah, I'm bored. So I became a paladin. So I was like, it's like a barbarian just with like extra stuff.
That's cool though, because it makes it so you don't have to make 50 characters and do Act 1 50 times. You can just keep the train going.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so you can just, it costs 100 gold. You just go back to your camp. You talk to some old guy, and then
Some soothsayer.
he's not an old guy. He's like a fucking spirit of death or something. But you know.
I'd say that makes him pretty old.
Yeah, you find him in a crypt, so.
Fair.
He's
it's
pretty.
Usually,
you know, that's where they put the old people.
That's where we keep old people. Yeah, crypts, obviously.
And so I like that. And you can also change your appearance, but you can only change like the appearance of the character you already have. You can't like change your entire character, which is a little lame. I'll be honest.
There's probably a Nexus mod for it.
Probably, because I was like, what it like dwarves really cool, but like, what if I wanted to look different today?
Yeah.
I wanted to go back, and I wanted to play as like a tiefling or something.
Yeah. Can you use glamours? Do you know in that game?
I don't know.
I wonder if you could use a glamour. That'd be cool. That'd be a neat item for them to have.
They have a lot of stuff in that game that there's a lot of stuff in that game, and there's like a ton of missable content. So
yeah. Oh yeah. That game warrants like 5 playthroughs. 5+ playthroughs.
And this is the thing, is why I'm looking up like checklists of things to do before I end each act, because I don't want to play the game 5 times.
No, yeah, 100%. I would be in the same boat.
Because that game is already rounding up to be absurdly long.
Yeah. That kind of puts Red Dead to shame.
Like, let's see, I've put like 100 and something hours into a Red Dead save before, and I was like, I'm not doing that again. I've put 100 hours into a Witcher save before, but that was me playing the game twice.
Plus the DLC, probably?
Plus the DLC both times, because it was the game and then New Game Plus.
Yeah. So you basically played like 3 games.
Yeah. So it was like me playing the whole game twice was 100 hours.
That's crazy.
And I think I've probably had some pretty lengthy Fallout saves. I think I have like 70 or 80 hours on a save of Stardew Valley.
Right.
So, I've played a couple of games for a couple of hours, but like at least Stardew Valley is something that's like, it's not a story that you're being taken through necessarily. Like, there are story beats to it, but like it's not Red Dead where it's like, okay, the story doesn't progress until you do another mission or whatever, and then you're kind of just banking on encounters in between the missions.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to play every part of it, and it's a really big game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shit that is not maybe obvious for people who are smarter, but like for me, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, but I'm too thick-headed for it to work.
Yeah.
Like essentially as well, like I wanted to experience the story, and since it's D&D 5th edition combat, doing it alone sucks ass. I think D&D combat is a lot of fun when you're playing actual D&D with your friends.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole situation of like, oh, your friend is going to say this. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run up to this guy. I'm going to punch him in the butthole or whatever. And like, that's fun. And because I'm picturing that happening in my head. But now I'm like, okay, I'm a wizard. Send the fireball over here. I got the 2 tanks here. Let's just hit this guy, hit that guy. And so I just turned the difficulty down so that like encounters are just a breeze.
Yeah. That's fair.
And that's led to me getting some unintentional achievements. Because there was like you find in the Underdark, you find like an adamantine forge, and there's a creature that attacks you, like a big golem attacks you. And what you're supposed to do is attack it with one character, and it will focus on that character, lure it to the forge hammer in the center of the forge, and then activate with another character, activate the lever to crush it with the hammer. But I was just like, fuck it, let's just tank this. So it was my character and Karlak just hitting it with great axes for like 25 minutes.
Fair. And
then I defeated it, and I was like, oh, you're supposed to use the thing. Oops.
Happens.
I've also noticed in playing the game and like reading stuff on it that a lot of people seem to like Astarion, the vampire fellow. He sucks. He's just a cunt. I just don't like him.
I don't like the cut of his jib, honestly.
I just don't like him because, listen, he walks around like his shit don't stink, okay? He walks around like he's better than everyone else.
He does.
I'm just a humble dwarf. And that's what's sent him to camp permanently, except when I need him to pick a lock.
Oh, is that what he's really good at? Yeah.
He's a rogue, so he has a plus 14 currently, plus 14 for lockpicking. So I'm like, you're the only dexterous character I have, so I'll take him off the bench if there's a door in my way. Like, hey, I gotta open this door. I'll check it. If it's like a DC 10 lockpicking, I'll just like, all right, I'll do it. I have a plus 3. But if it's like a 14 or whatever, like, all right, get this piece of shit. And what I'll do is I'll go back to camp, swap him into my party, have him unlock the door, and then go back to camp, swap him out of my party, and I will literally every time go, bye, Astarion, bye. Because I don't like him.
Yeah.
I just don't like him.
Can you just kill him? Like, can you fight him or no?
I think you can kill just about anybody.
That's what I thought, right? You should just kill him.
But, like, that would be much to the chagrin of my other party members.
I don't have to see it. Just lead him. Old Lenny. Just fucking Lenny him in the woods.
Just Lenny his ass.
Yeah. Like, hey, we're going on a double date. Just me and him, and we're going to meet these other guys.
Me and my pal, we're going out, and then I'm going to shoot him in the back of the head.
And pretty much, cleave him in half.
Listen, I don't want to make my party members hate me, okay?
Fair.
I don't want them to hate me because for the most part, they all like me a lot, except for Astarion's bitch ass.
That's fair.
He's the only one who has like leaning to an unfavorable opinion of me. Because I'm a dickhead to him every time.
And you've fucking benchwarmered him for the entire season, man.
Well, I benched his ass because he's also not conducive to the style in which I play the game at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did one combat encounter with him. I'm like, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
Playing a rogue as someone who does not have a mind for stealth at all sucks.
Yeah. It's like being handicapped, I can imagine.
I was like, listen, you don't do a lot of damage, and you would have to sneak around to do a lot of damage. I'm more of the mind of like, let's run into this battle, and we're going to hug this enemy really hard until he dies. Well, Gale is on the perimeter shooting fireballs directly into us, basically.
Yeah.
We're hugging the enemy, and he shoots a damn fireball, immediately damaging us for a shit ton of damage, but also getting the enemies.
There you go. Like a mortar strike.
Fireball is not a spell they should have given me, I'll be honest.
Makes sense.
Because I immediately burn all my spell slots with it. I'll have Gale shoot a fireball in a minute, and I burn my level 3 spell slots immediately.
Makes sense. Yeah, I could see why that'd be tempting, just blowing everything up.
Yeah, I mean, I expect most people in the party for damage. So like, he's got like fireball, and he's got like I don't know. He's got a ton of damage shit. Is my point.
Yeah.
I have nothing to like distract an enemy. I don't have like hold person. I don't have anything.
The helping hand thing.
I want him to fireball someone, and then when it gets to my turn, I want to divine smite them twice.
Yeah, you're a DPS. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Call me the DP.
Director of photography.
Of course.
Yeah.
That was something that I had to reconcile with when I was doing my film classes. We would have to assign roles each week, and it hurt me a little bit not to smile every time we were asked, "Who's DP on this?" Do I wanna point to someone and say that person's DP today? I was like, no, I don't know if I.
Yeah.
It
context clues, I guess.
It would but it's also in the same way that, like, you know, when I hear of like the network, the BBC, I always kind of smile a little bit.
Oh,
that's
of course.
funny. Leave it to the British.
I was gonna say the same thing. That's funny.
Leave it to the British to name. They were in the boardroom like, what are we gonna call this company? Have you heard about? I was on Pornhub the other day.
Have you seen Janice's search history?
Janice, my intern. I saw on her history.
Actually, I found her in the video on Pornhub. Yeah.
I don't know why the British guy sounds like that. Why he sounds like he's from New York, but
yeah, I was gonna say.
I could do British accents, but I feel like I can do non-offensive ones, but I choose not to most of the time.
That's fair.
Most of the time,
yeah.
Because if I do a British accent, it's gonna sound like a fucking caricature.
I mean, that's kind of what they are. I feel like.
Listen, we're Americans. We're obligated to hate on the British, I think.
Yeah, you guys taxed my tea, you fucks.
yeah. Remember in fucking the 1760s when we threw your tea in the fucking harbor, you bitch.
Yeah, bastards. Fucking bastards.
It's just funny that like they once ruled the world and now they're relegated to an island that's like the size of Florida.
That is crazy.
Objectively insane, by the way.
Yeah.
I can't think of a bigger fumble.
It's just a funny phrase. Y'all fumbled the bag. I don't know what to tell you.
Fumbled the bag on this one. You fumbled the colonialism bag, man.
Yeah. Anything else you been up to, Chris, besides Baldur's Gate?
I've been writing some stuff.
Oh yeah, anything good?
No, nothing legible. No, I've been like in the D&D rabbit hole. I've been writing. I've been working on this for like several months now. I've been working on my D&D campaign, and it's 5e rules, but it is all, the world is homebrewed, the Pantheon is homebrewed, the story is entirely written by me, and I'm finally getting like the loose ideas I have for like the first third of the campaign and then putting pen to paper now, essentially.
That's good.
So I think I've written like collectively in the past week or so, collectively put down like 10 pages of stuff thus far. And I think, because I wanted to structure it like the campaign books that already exist. So I bought a couple of them. And I like the little hardcover books. I think they're pretty neat. I also bought the new Player's Handbook. This is a very D&D heavy episode. I know I know certain people turn it off when we're discussing.
I was thinking that.
Well, that's fine. This is my interest. This is my show. Start your own show. Start your own show. It's called Chris and Jordan Are Stupid and Gay and talk about D&D all the time. I hate it, so we're not going to do it. We're going to talk about no D&D show. No D&D show ever. That's what it's going to be called.
The sign behind him just says no D20s.
No D20s. It's a D20 with a gun shooting it.
Oh, man. Another caricature, of course.
But essentially, what I'm doing is I'm trying to structure it like the campaign books that exist, but campaign books, because they're just sold to the unwashed masses, such as me, you have to include a bunch of... I mean, I'm including myself in the unwashed masses.
It's just funny.
You have to include a bunch of stuff like context for like the world and stuff. So there's a bunch of shit I don't have to include, so it's going to end up being like shorter. And well, that being said, I'm also compiling like a lore compendium of the world, the gods, and what's keeping me going here is it's like 100 little projects instead of one big one in my mind.
Yeah, because you, with one big project, you turn into like a brain dead mummy. You're like, oh. You sound like a fucking villager in Minecraft.
Yeah, that's like I can do a bunch of little projects.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on. So essentially, I'm trying to have like 15 threads running constantly where I'm like, all right, I got a little stuff on here and a little stuff on here and a little stuff on here because my little goblin brain can't focus on one thing for too long.
Bro's the fucking instant gratifier.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, write a paragraph here, doom scroll, paragraph, doom scroll.
masturbate. Jerk off.
Doom scroll, jerk off 10 times in a row, back to back to back.
Shit's looking like an Indian sunburn.
It's just, there's smoke coming off of it.
He's thinking really hard. You can see the smoke out of his ears. No, that's just his penis.
It's like when SpongeBob cleans his hands off.
Yeah.
It's like that where I hold up a nub and it's like, bing, bing, bing.
Oh, man. D&D and SpongeBob in one paragraph, he's out. He's gone.
Oh, yeah, that's also part of the show, is the No SpongeBob Show as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been working on. I've been kind of losing my mind a little bit about it, to be honest.
Like good or bad?
In a good sort of way, but also like in a way that maybe some medical professionals may consider as some sort of mania, but it is what it is.
Okay.
That's an exaggeration. Don't worry about me. That's an exaggeration.
I'm calling Child Protective Services right now.
I'm 23. What are they gonna do?
They're gonna take you away.
Like, we heard about there's a child that might be in danger, and the child in question is me. I'm sitting there going goo goo gaga, slamming my fucking rattle on the ground.
6'2", big ass boots, walks out. Goes, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I'm the child. What's
Got
up?
a problem with that? They're like, no, sir.
Go out, big ass boots on with a bottle of liquor in my hands,
and of course a diaper.
and of course, filled diaper on.
Like elephant shit.
Like it's weighing me down from the amount of shit that's in there.
You just hear everywhere you walk. It's dragging.
Here he comes. Sounds like I'm dragging like a rock.
Because it's petrified.
It's petrified and it's like 7 tons. Heave! Heave!
Oh my god. It was a wild one.
That being said, I'm working a lot on this campaign, and I'm also I don't know if I want this necessarily to be like a fucking 200-page affair, but it might end up being that. And if it ends up being that, I'm 110% going to look into publishing it. Because if I'm going to put all this fucking work into something, I'm not just going to let it sit on my computer.
You should just post it somewhere like r/D&D.
I'm going to look into publishing it, and because I know there's some legality stuff related to that, and there's only certain stuff you're allowed to do with D&D, the rule set and whatever. That's a future me problem. If I can't publish it to make money, I'll PDF it, and I'll just send it. It's not going to be as good. Because it's just going to be me writing stuff out, and it's not going to be like a book with art and shit. But I'll just like put it in a PDF and release it.
Yeah.
I also sort of have started kicking around the idea of making a companion novel that goes along with the world, but that's another future me problem.
Yeah.
I need to flesh out the world 100 times more, because I think my intention now is to leave it a bit loose so that I can like change stuff, or I can fit other stuff in if I want to.
Yeah, you can sort of demo the campaign and see what needs to change, yeah.
That's kind of my idea, and we'll see. Maybe in like 3 years, I'll be like, hey, you can buy this book now. This stupid book now.
I'll buy it if you publish it. So
you know what, Jordan?
I got an autographed copy, baby.
You get an autographed copy, but it's going to cost you 10 times, actually, the amount of a normal book.
That's fine as long as I get like a ball stamp on it.
Ball stamp.
That's the seal.
I go, it's like a sling. I swing them around and slam them on the book.
Autograph night. We're signing this shit live for our audience, right? I'm like, all right, Chris, sign it. I'm sitting there with your stamp nuts, just bashing them against the book. You're like, ouch!
Ouch! Oh, this fan wants an extra hard ball stamp. Ah!
You only stamp like one a week.
What I'll do actually is when I'm in the process of writing it, it'll have my name on it, and it'll also say "and Jordan 2," so that he gets a couple of dollars. It's just say "and Jordan 2," but mostly Chris.
Yeah.
Meaning I wrote the entire thing. I just put you on the cover because it says give him 1% of revenue.
Hell yeah. Which means after all sales are complete,
You're getting $6.
I'm getting $6, and it's my $6 that I paid.
$6 that you paid. Yeah, I didn't think, to be honest with you, I always pictured myself doing a lot of creative work. And that was always video for me, but like I've taken up writing like actually rather seriously in the last like 5 years or so. I don't know. I only write something.
I mean, it's out there, man. Like there's plenty of sources nowadays that.
It's also apparently the worst fucking creative profession to try to get into.
It is, yeah.
Because I've heard reports from like some authors that are like, I published my first book. This is how much I made. And it's like, well, off of all the sales after publishing fees and everything, I made over the last year I made $4,000.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was hoping to make a little more than that. I make a little more than that now. So
a couple dollars more.
I might, but it's also the creative work you have to have a full-time job while doing.
Yeah. Unless you're like the Stephen Kings of the novel space.
Yeah, once you have a novel that sells like really big, then it's like, okay, this can be your job. But
until that,
I'm no Stephen King. I would have to do a lot more cocaine to be Stephen
a little
King.
bit more than you already do.
I would have to do a lot more cocaine and write a lot more about groups of children having sex with each other. That's a real thing from it. Right? The kids in the books, the children, at the end of the book, they all have sex with each other. In the book that he wrote out of his mind. They're
still kids at that point, right? It's not after the time
No, they're
skip.
children, explicitly so.
Yeah, like 12.
Yeah. And to be fair, to be a little charitable, I was forced to read a autobiography by Stephen King. Where he talks about his experiences with writing. And he said that there's good portions of some of his most famous books that he does not even remember writing. So, because he was so out of his mind on coke that he was like, fuck it, publish it, I don't know. And then he reads it back, he's like, what the fuck? I wrote this?
That's crazy.
Which is insanity. I would absolutely, even if I was as an author, even if I was a functioning cokehead, I would also probably take a couple of minutes sober, flipping through the pages that I wrote while I was fucked up, right? Like, surely, I imagine you'd want to check your work, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
But that guy also writes an obscene amount.
Yeah.
Like, I think he said that he writes like 6 pages a day or something. And that's every day, regardless of whether it's for something or not.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's probably always got something in the works, right?
I'm sure. Or he just has a bunch of segmented ideas that he then gets an idea for or work from.
Something like that. I don't know. He's out there cooking in his fucking cabin in Maine. He's just... That's the kind of energy I want to take on. Not the coke and the writing about children having sex thing. The cabin in the woods in Maine, writing stuff like a little goblin.
Yeah. That seems better. That's the better of the three.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. I would write normal stuff though.
Yeah.
Like something that, something that like isn't deeply disturbing and like kind of a bad reflection of my entire career.
Yeah. Chris, you know what I did yesterday?
What's that?
And I'm finishing up today when I go home. Something I'm proud of. Okay?
It's a heart.
Oh, is it for me?
It's a heart.
Is it
for you, Jordan?
Oh, thanks, man.
It's a friendship bracelet.
Now I fucking work it.
I'm gonna kill you, rah! I'll tell you, when we have no plan, our episodes are way better.
Man.
I'm gonna kill you.
What the fuck? What is going on? Man, you know what I did that I was proud of, Chris?
What's that?
So, there's this little thing. I think I talked about it. I don't know what I talked about anymore. Like, I feel like I'm Stephen King post-cocaine. Like, I don't know what I talked about last episode.
Yeah, no, I feel that in a sense that, like, if people ever remind me of something I said on the show, I'm like, when the fuck was this?
And they pull out the exact audio clip.
We've recorded so many hours of this show that I've probably said so much out of pocket shit that like
yeah.
That you're like, well, you said this. I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't believe that. That's not true.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, like I don't know what I said and haven't said anymore, but assuming I didn't talk about it. Unreal Engine 5 has major issues with AMD Z1 processors.
Oh, you talked about this last time.
I did, yeah.
Okay, so this one I actually do remember because I was actually just listening to that episode yesterday.
Perfect, there you go. So yeah, the TLDR on it is basically Z1 processors, drivers no worky, shadows no populate. So if you're playing like a Silent Hill 2 or style game where it's dark, there's no shadows, so it is not dark. Well, turns out, fits for that is the Holy Linux gods. That's the fits for it.
I.e. some Russian guy in his basement ripping cigarettes, right? Fucking pounding out code on his ThinkPad T60 from 2005.
Pretty much.
With no keys left on the keyboard.
He just knows them.
Ripping cigarettes and drinking straight vodka, hammering his fists on the keys, and pushing git commits by the second. Like he's
like Stephen King.
He's sending out a commit every 30 seconds.
So basically what it is Linux. You load Bazite on the ROG Ally, which is basically a community-made version of SteamOS for the Steam Deck. Like even the prompts in the OS will be like, your Steam Deck's battery health is this. So like
right.
It's just a skin essentially, or a distro of Linux or whatever. I think it's based on Arch. What was SteamOS made on? Was it Arch? Yeah. I think it's based in Arch. So basically what I did is I spent yesterday morning when it was a little slower because I worked from home. I dual booted Linux on this fucking thing. I dual booted it Bazite specifically. So now I have Windows 11 for like my Game Pass stuff. And I have SteamOS that I can just go into BIOS quickly, switch to.
They should just release a desktop version of that.
Of like SteamOS?
Yeah.
I think you could theoretically use Bazite because when you're in it, you just switch to desktop mode like you do on a Steam Deck. But I don't know how the sort of SteamOS part of it.
So I think they had, I think for the desktop version, they would have to do the opposite where you switch to Steam mode, basically, rather than... But it has all the shit built into SteamOS as a convenient package that you don't have to do all that work.
Like getting all the protons and shit, yeah.
Yeah, like getting the proton integration... Because I feel like the integration of a lot of shit on SteamOS is like a lot better than... unless you're downloading like Pop or something, like one of the dedicated gaming OSs, but like trying to get certain shit going on certain distributions sucks ass.
Yeah. SteamOS I've had good luck with though.
I tried to get a fucking controller working on Debian. I wanted to shoot myself.
So
I plugged in my controller and it recognized it. I pulled like the like LS-USB. My other controller ended up working, but that's my shit-ass one that I spent $10 on. I want my good controller.
Of course.
Plug in the good controller. It recognized it. It recognized it as a controller, but it didn't do anything. And I just said, fuck it. I gave up.
Fair. So I ended up dual booting And so the problem I ran into, right, the headache that I had yesterday doing it, wasn't the actual dual booting part of it. Super simple, super simple install. The hard part was, I didn't know this going into it. Obviously, you have to partition your drive to have a sector that is just for Linux and a sector that is just for Windows.
Right.
So my goal at the time was I'm going to dedicate 500 gigabytes to Windows, and I'm going to dedicate 500 gigabytes of my terabyte, which will end up being like 430 because of obviously system files, to Linux. And I wanted to do like a 50-50 split because at that time I had 951 gigs of total storage, and I had 432 currently used for Windows. So I was like, perfect. I'll just give it like 450. If I need another game, I uninstall. Like there was things I could uninstall, so it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
And then with Linux, I can give it the 500 gigs. Well, turns out, didn't know this going into it. If you try to shrink a volume of partition space, and it's your C drive, it's a logic fallacy. You can't shrink a partition of your C drive because you're using your C drive to shrink that partition.
Right.
So you can't fucking do it. So I actually was stuck with 830 gigabytes accounted for Windows, and I could only spare 83 gigabytes for Linux. So I'm like, shit. So then I thought, like, what if I were to go into Linux and then try to partition my OS C drive? I could do that with KDE Partition Manager.
Yeah, the amount of shit that I've just said fuck it and jumped into like gparted for is like, it's so much better of a partition tool because the Windows partition tool kind of sucks.
It does kind of blow.
But I understand why it sucks because something like gparted or like the KDE Partition Manager has like, it doesn't have the same kid gloves that the Windows Partition Manager does, where it's
you
like,
could fuck your shit.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, what do you want to delete? Oh, your bootloader? Fuck it.
Good luck. See you later.
You said okay, so I'm doing it.
Remember that box you checked? Yeah, that was your death wish. Sorry, bud.
It's very much like driving a stick shift, where it's like the car's gonna do exactly what you tell it to do. And it's gonna do it immediately.
You can rip the bitch into sits, and it's gonna not like it.
There are no safety nets. If you're in third gear banging off the limiter and then you shove it into first, it's gonna do it and then blow up your engine.
Yeah.
In the same way, like if you want to delete your fucking bootloader, okay,
Have fun.
we're gonna say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to make these changes to this partition? And you go, yep.
Yeah, looks good to me.
Looks good to me.
And then your shit just immediately explodes. Like, yeah.
Windows has the safeguards on.
Yeah, which I can respect because, admittedly, like I'm not the master partitioner. Like I'm somewhat like
I've been partitioning so long now. I could partition a drive from the terminal in my sleep, blindfolded.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. Like I'm not even close to that. So like I do like that it like brought that up, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So basically, long story short, is what I'm doing is my PS5 has a 2 terabyte NVMe that I put in it. I never use the PS5. I always use the Ally or my PC. I bought 2 NVMe enclosures, one on Amazon and one at Best Buy just now because I had changed my mind. I was like, fuck, I need a second one. I'm going to take the NVMe from the Ally.
Okay.
I'm going to take the NVMe from the PS5, Jesus Christ, and I'm going to the 2 terabyte one, and I'm going to clone my 1 terabyte one to the 2 terabyte, which will mean that Windows has 800 gigabytes on that partition. Then there's 80 gigs for Linux, and then there's another 920 or whatever, or 820 unallocated. I'm gonna expand the Linux partition into that volume. That way I basically have 800 gigs of Windows, 800 gigs of Linux, and then probably some system files in between somewhere with this 2 terabyte drive, and then put the 1 terabyte into the PlayStation.
Okay.
So that's my plan for today. So I'm hoping all goes swimmingly.
Right.
So we'll see, because I kind of thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to use SteamOS as my main OS, and I'm going to save the Windows side of it for only when I want to do Windows shit. Like if I'm going to play, which I'll talk about briefly, I fucking got sucked into the ropes of Black Ops 6 because it's on Game Pass. God damn it, why does it have to be so fun? But anyway, so if I'm going to play like Black Ops 6, you can't do that on Linux because their anti-cheat banned you instantly.
Question.
Yeah.
So it's on Game Pass. Black Ops. New Black Ops.
Yeah.
Zombies?
Yeah. Everything. You get campaign, zombies, multiplayer. It's fucking fun,
I was explicitly against buying the game, But if it's on Game Pass and Zombies is there, I might just pop in to play Zombies.
I have not downloaded a Call of Duty in probably 10 years that I actually itched to play.
Because a bunch of the boys bought it.
Oh, did they?
And I'm like, I don't really like Call of Duty all that much. I don't really play shooting like FPSs very often, especially like competitive like PvP FPS games. Mm-hmm. I say that I say I don't play FPSs, but like one of my most played games, Payday 2. I'm talking like PvP competitive FPS games. I just don't have that spirit in me, and I'm unbelievably bad at those games.
Yeah, comically.
Especially like. Because the last Call of Duty I played was Modern Warfare, like the remake of Modern Warfare.
2019, yeah.
Yeah. And I would get overstimulated in that game. I got a gun, there's a guy over here, this guy here, there's some other guy, I gotta shoot, and I'm always shooting stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not hitting a goddamn thing.
Yeah. But Black Ops 6, super fun. So I've been playing that in the alley, but that's the beauty of it. You got Windows for that. Runs, works, just right out of the box. Got Linux for Unreal Engine 5 games, and also just because like there's a little bit of bloat with the Ally because it's running Windows, because you boot it up, it goes to the Windows lock screen, you get into Windows, then it will usually hang up there for about a second on the desktop screen while ASUS opens up their skin Armory Crate, which is just like basically a launcher with all your games in it. But like, I don't need that. That's what SteamOS is for, you know?
That's stupid as hell.
So, well, here's the thing. It's stupid, but it works fantastic. Like, ASUS did an incredible job making this software to work nice enough with Windows that it makes it a very good handheld experience. But nothing beats the Steam Deck, though. Like, you just boot it up. You're instantly looking at your Steam library. You launch a game. You set all your controller options from that game. Like, there's nothing better.
I'm curious how well the Ally, because you said it is a Windows device.
Yeah.
How well does it handle with Windows? Like with SteamOS, you can operate like all the functions you would reasonably need as like a normal user. You can just do with the sticks that are like on the device. Do you have that sort of luxury with
Windows? Yeah. So when you hit the settings button on the Ally, it brings up ASUS's window where you have control option, auto, controller, or desktop. So if you're doing stuff like in Steam, it's not good about the auto stuff because it thinks you want the controller automatically. So you just switch it to desktop. Right thumbstick is your mouse. You have the bumper for left click, trigger for right click. You can click and hold. You can drag. The only thing I would say that the Steam Deck does like way better is it has the trackpads, which with this you're working with just thumbsticks, so there's no like scroll feature. Like the Steam Deck, you could use this trackpad, click on it, and then scroll the left one and kind of scroll the window down. This you have to drag the thumbstick, so it's kind of like shitty in that way. But I mean, I did all of my installs for the prerequisites for like Bazite on the Ally with the thumbstick and the buttons without a mouse and keyboard. Like you hit the two back buttons. They have the programmable back buttons. You hit those and D-pad up, and it brings up a keyboard. Like it's very well thought out. But for gaming, SteamOS is just infinitely superior because, like I said, you boot, and the first thing you're presented with is, here's the last game you played. And it's just like a Steam Deck. It's like, here's the last thing. You want to relaunch this? And then, yeah.
A feature that, like, I think makes the most sense for any sort of, like, software that serves you other stuff.
Yeah.
Like a feature that, like, Spotify just kind of figured out. Like, just recently.
Like the last listened?
Where they were like, oh, you were in the middle of a podcast episode. You probably want to listen. You probably want to listen to that podcast episode. So when you open the podcast, we're going to take you right there.
Oh, it's actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I saw an email from Spotify that said they rolled out that feature, right, with like where it tells you your last played or whatever, and you want to continue. We're the only podcast that didn't include in that because they know no one wants to listen when they come back. So
right,
they wrote us an email about that.
Yeah, they actually sent it. The CEO slapped his balls on the email.
It was a fact.
Slapped his balls on the email and then sent it to us. But Spotify just kind of figured that out.
That's
whereas,
weird,
like, if I'm sorting through a podcast, like one of the podcasts I listen to has almost 1,000 episodes. If I want to go back, and it's stuff that is relevant Like, there is shit that's relevant that I want to listen to that they recorded, like, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I want to listen to something in, like, the 200s, I have to sort by oldest and then scroll up or scroll all the way back from 1,000. But if I'm already listening to it, I just open it and it brings me there now, which is mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's cool, though, that they have that. Even YouTube has features like that. Like, that's crazy. And YouTube's kind of ass. So, kind of wild. But, yeah, so that's my little project. And, yeah, just dual booting it, getting it nice and partitioned, and hopefully I have good luck with it. I'm kind of slightly nervous, man, to take apart the Ally. Like, with the Steam Deck, I never took it apart because, like, I didn't have to.
Right.
For anything. But, like, there's just something about the Steam Deck that I'm like, this seems easy to take apart. The Ally just has a little bit of finickiness to it.
The Steam Deck is also, like, kind of in some sort of way built to be taken apart.
Well, funny enough, like, so is the Ally. Like, for storage upgrades and stuff, Steam Deck is better about, like, hey, your shit broke. Like, here's a new motherboard, They're definitely better about that. But, like, they are definitely both designed around the idea of, like, repairing batteries over time and shit like that. But there's just something I'm more nervous about. Maybe it's the fact that I know if I smashed my Steam Deck to pieces right now, I could reasonably buy one for, like, $200 on either Facebook or a refurb one from Valve for, like, $250. But the Ally X is literally only $800. There's no way around it. So, like, if I break this thing, I'm like, that just went, like, the rent I used to pay in the fucking apartment. Like, that just went down the drain.
Yeah, so. I'm just kind of holding out until I get a new computer, until I build a new one, because, like, the storage situation on my computer currently is fucked. Like,
you have a bunch of different drives, don't you?
I only have 3 now. I have a 256 gig SSD that I've had for like 5 years, or longer than that, probably almost like 8. And because I got it like at some point in high school, I have that, and I have a 1 terabyte SSD, both NVMe, and I have a 10 terabyte hard drive. The hard drive is slower than fuck. And it's because I know it's like a 30 FPS, 60 FPS thing. Like, I can't go back and play shit on the 360 because it looks like a slideshow to me now, because I've been looking at 60 FPS for so long. I've been used to NVMe speeds for so long that hard drives feel like fucking molasses to me now.
Yeah.
And also doesn't help that a lot of games now like need an SSD to work.
To load assets properly.
Yeah, so what I have currently is, for some reason, I decided it was a good idea to install Windows on the 256 gig drive. So I am in a perpetual state of trying to, like, you ever play Sea of Thieves? And, like, your ship is about to go under, but you're still sitting there trying to bail water?
Patching holes and shit.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm constantly trying to, like, move around where shit is installed, because I have had less than 10 gigs of space on that drive for like the last year. So, it's not going well. And the other drive has a ton of shit on it, which, I mean, yeah, like, it's a 1 terabyte drive. It has a bunch of games on it, but, like, games are fucking huge now.
Yeah.
So I got to move some shit to the hard drive, but then the hard drive's slow as shit, and it makes a bunch of noise. So what I want to do, essentially, my next computer, like, a good portion of the budget, like, probably a third of the budget, is going to storage.
What are you thinking? Like 8 terabyte SSD, like the
probably a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, the Seagate one. Or
I was thinking of getting, probably getting 2 of those, and then, like, running them in like a RAID 1 or something, because
what's the advantage of it for that? You just get one 16 gigabyte unified thing.
RAID 1, so that would be like RAID 0. RAID 1 is, you get one 8 terabyte volume that is cloned 1-to-1.
So it's like a backup. Drives.
So yeah, so if one fails, I can just swap in a new drive and it rebuilds that partition. Or
that's cool, actually.
If I sprung for 3 of them, I would do like a RAID 5 setup or something, where you have 2 disks and 1 disk that is for parity of those disks, so it stripes data across 2 disks and then puts like parity values on the 3rd drive, And then if one of the disks dies, it's able to rebuild that data from the parity values that are on the third drive.
But you get access to the full 16.
I think you get access to more, but I don't know if it's the full thing.
Probably like 10 or 12 or something, yeah.
Don't quote me on that part. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before, and I don't want to state something as a matter of fact.
That you're not certain on, yeah.
Because I'm not certain on this. Because Raid 5 is a bit of like a strange raid setup, to be honest, as well. It's kind of like... It's like the middle child of raid setups.
Yeah.
Like, you're a gamer, so you want to raid 0. Because raid 0 is also fast as shit, too. Because it's striping data across 2 disks. So it's pulling 2 things, or it's pulling data off 2 disks that are both extremely fast. So you're a gamer, you want to do raid 0. Or like you're a server and you want to do raid 1. I guess there are like, you could do like raid 10, which is like kind of like 1 and 0 at the same time. But I don't know. I'm thinking about it. But essentially I want no hard drives. That's my hard limit.
Nah, that shit's outlawed, honestly.
That's my limit. If I am looking at drives and I get recommended a hard drive, I'm blowing up the website that I'm looking at. So I want... Because SSD, like flash storage now, like SSD storage is cheap as shit.
Yeah.
It costs nothing now.
4 terabyte NVMe is $389. Ask me how I know.
Like my 10 terabyte drive was like around that. Like, yes, you can get more storage out of a hard drive, sure. But
the price per terabyte is way less, but the performance is awful.
I was also kind of kicking around the idea of because it's so cheap to run hard drives, buying one of those like Storinator NAS units.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
And then putting like 4 hard drives in it or something. I don't know if I want to do that. Because the NAS unit, number 1, is
more
like...
than the big SSDs.
Is like $800 for the unit. And then I have to probably spend another $800 to put drives in it.
When you could just buy 2 extremely nice SSDs for like $800. Like extremely nice ones.
Just
or maybe
saying,
1.
Like each... For those 2 SSDs, it's going to be like $800.
Yeah.
And I would just buy those instead and then have everything locally and I don't have to fuck around with... Or I might just build a NAS. This computer that's sitting right in front of us that's kind of in a sad state at the moment. I think the motherboard's on its way out.
Probably.
I could rebuild something in there, try to dig around and find the drive cage that goes in there, and then put a bunch of drives in there.
Use it as a network storage.
And use it as like NAS. I don't know if I want to do all that. I don't know how complicated I want to make my life, to be honest.
Yeah. How IT do you want to get with it?
Yeah, like, I guess having network storage isn't that crazy. Like,
no,
I would probably just run it as, like, a shared volume, like you would, say at, like, your job, where it's just another drive. It's just mapped, like, through the network.
Shortcutted, yeah.
And I would probably use that for accessing, like, a lot of the slop I have on my hard drives, or on my drives. Like, I have... As much as I have a lot of games, I also have a lot of just shit, too. Like, oh, here's a picture that I had saved on my phone 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Here's something that I downloaded from iFunny in 6th grade.
That's funny, yeah.
Let's pull that up.
I'll pull it up, Jamie.
Jamie, pull up the troll face meme from 2011.
The original. It's literally the original. It's the first one ever.
Pull up the gallery of Rage comics that I had in 2012, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, funny that you mentioned PC upgrades. For the first time ever, which I say this, I haven't really used my PC much for like the last 2 years, 3 years, but for the first time ever that I've used my PC, I genuinely had to lower settings in a game to make it playable. Not like because I wanted higher frame rates, but because it was literally unplayable.
That's crazy.
I booted up the Quiet Place game on the Ally. I made it through the prologue and then the Unreal Engine 5 Shadows issue hit, but I was like, man, I like this game enough that I'm just going to suck it up and I'm going to do Steam streaming from the Ally, or from the PC to the Ally and just play like in bed or whatever. So I did that. And what I did is when I first booted up on my PC, I was like, yeah, I'll just leave it what it is. I basically left the same settings the Ally had, but I put it to 1440p.
Right.
And it was recommending a resolution scale of like 40%. I was like,
Damn.
that's awful. I cranked it to 100. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I want my 1440p. Dude, I was getting 13 frames per second at native 1440p on medium settings.
That's great.
So then I was like, I had to do a little deducination. I was like, okay, 40% of 1440p. We're kind of just looking at 1080. And the Ally is 1080. So if I'm streaming it to the Ally, I'll stream it at 1080, 100% resolution. Ran fucking beautifully. So somehow I went from 12 frames to 60 when all I had done was half the resolution. You would think it'd be somewhat proportional. It was not. It was not proportional. So, and it looked good enough. And it, like I said, it was 1080 on the Ally, so there's no reason to have it at 1440. But I was like, damn. It kind of hit me in the feels. I'm like, man, this computer officially just got brought to its knees for the first time.
I had a weird thing with Baldur's Gate where, for some reason, as I transitioned into Act 2, this was not an issue for the first, 30 hours of my save that I played on Act 1. But now, you can run the game either through Vulkan or DX11. If I run the game through Vulkan on Act 2, it will start off totally fine and then run at 10 FPS.
Is it like a fucking memory leak or something?
I don't know.
That's fucking weird.
But if I put it on DX11, it works totally fine. Completely fine.
I'm convinced Vulkan just kind of fucking sucks. What's the advantage of it? I feel like every game I've ever come across breaks because of Vulkan. Is there something good about it?
I think Vulkan was revolutionary for its time.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they dropped Vulkan, like when Vulkan started becoming a thing in 2016 or so, 2015, 2016. So I remember they came out with, Doom 2016 was one of the first games that supported Vulkan.
It was, yeah.
And that game ran fucking beautifully.
Still does, yeah.
I could, much like the original Doom, I could probably rig up a pregnancy test to run Doom 2016.
It is ridiculous.
That game runs so well.
Yeah.
Especially for how good it looks. I don't know how they did it. And everyone said it was some kind of trickery with Vulkan. And then Vulkan kind of became the de facto standard as people moved away from DX11 and DX12. And now a lot of shit is Vulkan, and I don't know why.
Yeah. I feel like it always just fucks my shit up.
I've had Vulkan errors. I've had DX11, DX12 errors, but so I'm not really married to either one.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think it's over.
Yeah, you got a little thing to do. I gotta go do my drive swap. So we're a couple of busy boys, you know.
Yup.
Couple of fellers doing busy boy things.
Yeah, when you're old and you work, you have to proportion all the stuff that actually takes time. You have to do on the weekends, unfortunately.
Yeah.
In that case, though, in my case, I'm actually doing something fun today, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, a little quick thing. My car didn't start the other day.
What?
My car, you know how my key always gets stuck and I have to hit the little button? So for a while now, I've suspected that the ignition itself is the problem. The tumblers are fucked up or whatever. And one time, 6 months ago, before Letsy stopped working and going to school, I reached over from the passenger seat in the morning to turn the key. While I was loading my bag in the car, and it just it turned and was just dead, and I was like, I must, whatever, didn't have my hand in there right, so I put my bag in, went to the driver's side, and it started up fine. So I'm like, whatever, I probably had the key partially out or whatever. Didn't think much of it, had a feeling it had to do with that, and then the other day, by the other day I mean Wednesday, I was at work, and I leave, get in the car, and I just had this weird foreboding feeling, it's so bizarre to explain, but I was like, imagine if my car didn't start. Turn the key, stone dead. Nothing. So what it does is when you turn it to accessory, my radio will come on. And then if I turn it to crank, everything would go out. Because it was trying to crank, but it was doing nothing. It wasn't like it was a battery issue. It wasn't anything. It was silent. Didn't even hear the fuel pump relay, nothing. So I went inside. I grabbed a multimeter. Tested battery voltage, all good. I called Let's Say, I'm like, well, I said to myself, I'm like, well, my ignition's just fucked. Like, I'm going to have to probably get it towed and get it fixed. So I took my battery terminal off. I was like, I'll just leave it off for now. Maybe that'll help something. Called her. I was like, hey, come pick me up if you can. Don't, whatever, don't rush. She's doing her thing. I'm just sitting against the car. I'm like, I'll check some relays and shit while I'm here. So I took off my front fuse box and I found a crank fuse, a 30 amp crank fuse. I'm like, what the fuck? Let's check it, right? Pop fuse out. Fuse is good. Relay, no burn marks, nothing. I'm like, all right, everything looks good. So I'm like, whatever. I guess just the ignition failed. She's like, I don't know, 5 minutes away. And I'm like, all right, let me put the battery back on. I put it back on, get in, started right up instantly. I'm like, yeah, it's that switch. I even tried starting it before that in neutral and drive, like you kind of had to do with the Hummer.
Right.
Yeah, it was nothing, and then now it just started fine.
Well, the Hummer also had an issue like that where there was a leak that would end up, like water would end up getting inside the dash and cause some sort of electrical issue that was a security problem where you would turn the ignition, it wouldn't do anything because it triggered some security thing.
It could be
you
that.
had to let it sit for like 10-15 minutes and then you could turn it on. It was fine.
It could be something like that, because I forgot to mention, too, the one light that would come on was the security light, which my car doesn't really particularly have any security features, but obviously it has standard ignition security features.
Right.
So it's got to be one of those that it triggered.
Yeah, I'm just saying there could be a linkage because they're both GM products from around the same time.
Yeah.
And, they have their moments.
Yeah, so pretty much I'm bringing it Tuesday because, like, the fuck if I'm going to try and rebuild an ignition. That ain't going to happen. So I'm just going to bring it Tuesday. Be like, hey, rebuild this so the key comes out. And also, hey, this issue happened. Maybe investigate it while you're in there. So.
See, if I was at work, if I was about to leave work and I went to crank my car and it didn't start or, like, that sort of thing happened, I would probably do something drastic.
Oh, yeah?
I'd be like, all right, that's it. I'm going to rig this thing to blow up and kill me instantly. That's it. It's over.
Fair. Yeah, luckily for me, I live really close to work, but also I always bring, like, my ally to work. And even if I know it's the day that I'm going to do, like, homework on lunch, I'm like, I'll bring the ally anyway for that exact reason. Like, if I was to get stranded there and no one could pick me up or something, I'll just sit there and play some game.
I already don't get home till, like, I already get home at like 6:30. So like, if I'm at the place until like 6, I'm gonna fucking lose my shit.
Yeah, you're gonna get home at like 8.
I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna finally crack. I'm gonna start punching the car. I'm gonna flip it over, set it on fire.
Like, hey Chris, you realize you have Jim's key, right? You're like, fuck!
God damn it!
Kill Jim next.
May have lost my cool there. I flip it back over.
Rebuilding the panel.
Fire extinguish it. Flip it back over. Weld it back up.
It's like a fucking pit stop.
Pull the dents out. Start it up and leave.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that happened. So I'll see how that goes, I guess.
Man. The bit of someone doing something fucking objectively insane and then going, almost lost my cool there, is such like a he's right behind me thing, but it's always so fucking funny to me.
Yeah, it is funny.
There's a scene, this is the last thing I'll talk about. There's a scene from the sitcom Family Matters where which Family Matters is an odd show to me because Steve Urkel, like the main character of the show, was like the neighbor's kid. He wasn't supposed to be the main character, but he was like the neighbor's kid, but then ended up doing a bunch of shit with like with Carl Winslow and like hanging out with the neighbor, which is also very weird. If I was like, where's his parents at? But there's a scene in that show where Carl Winslow is trying to teach Steve Urkel how to drive. It's also the episode where Carl Winslow has to monitor his anger because he's got really high blood pressure and he's got an anger problem. So he's trying to, I guess he gets sent to anger therapy like earlier in the episode, but he doesn't want to go. And then he comes up with this mantra, or he gets told this mantra. He goes, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. What the heck is bothering me? So basically what happens, he's teaching Steve Urkel how to drive. Steve Urkel freaks out. He's going crazy. He drives, he backs into Carl's garage. And He backs into Carl's garage. Carl gets out of the car, and he does his mantra twice, getting louder each time, and he goes, "Whew, almost lost it there." And if you can find that scene, there is a clip of it on YouTube that's like 7 pixels. It's actually legitimately fucking hilarious. That whole scene, because there's eventually what happens is he goes, "Well, it can't get any worse," and then the garage door collapses in and a bunch of shit falls down, like the garage starts to like collapse basically. And he does the mantra again and then loses his shit, and he starts when he goes to like try to get Steve Urkel, when Carl goes to try to get Steve Urkel, he starts by yelling and then beating on his chest.
That's fucking funny.
Urkel gets in the car and he's like shaking the car because it's a little BMW Isetta. He's shaking the car and a balloon comes up, like a balloon starts inflating. He goes, "You've activated the airbag." Legitimately, really fucking funny television.
That is funny. Yeah. I feel like I've seen that scene. That's funny.
I may have even shown it to you. It's something I reference every so often. But yeah, that's that bit of like, "Whew, almost lost it there," is never not funny to me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
as always, I gotta remind the people.
Remind the people, Jordan.
You can find us on
cast
Apple
a spell on
Podcasts,
you.
Google Podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Video Public, Spotify Podcasts, and the RSS Feed, all linked below. YouTube and Spotify have the video platform where you can see us. Instagram, TikTok, check us out there. Also, contact us, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, death threats, and Little Kitty Big City stuff. Also, don't think I said that in the intro. I really don't remember saying that.
I don't know.
Shit, that might have been a broken record there.
Fireball! Put an explosion.
I'm gonna put a shitty green screen.
Put a green screen effect, but don't remove the green. Fireball!